Cingari here with Frank Mir at the opening of an MMA-themed restaurant called Ground and Pound in Boynton Beach, Florida. So, Frank, what do you think of this new MMA-themed restaurant, Ground and Pound?
I think it's awesome. I mean, so far, obviously, the turnout has been unbelievable. I really like the setup inside. It's a great atmosphere. But, more to the point, I'm just so impressed that at this point in the MMA world that you can actually open up a UFC MMA-themed sports bar and have this kind of turnout.
You know, I was taking a look at the menu, and it seems there's most of the items on the menu are named after fighters. Now, I was talking to my cameraman before, and we noticed that your name doesn't have a menu item. What's up with that?
I'm just more picky, so I'm trying to really make sure I have one that's pretty good. Something like a chicken wing that's broken or something. We're trying to figure out some kind of joke about it.
Oh, a chicken wing that's broken. Gee, that would be very, very, very interesting. I can't understand why you would come up with that.
Yeah, it'd be very appropriate, right?
So what's up next for you, fight-wise?
I don't know yet. Actually, I'm waiting for these fights to kind of clear a little bit, and then hopefully within the next week or so, my management team can figure out what's next for me. Josh Barnett just got signed with the UFC. I really think that would be a phenomenal fight. I think that's something that the fans have talked about a lot on the internet, as far as who's a better catch wrestler, and I think that I'd be more than happy to welcome him to the UFC, and I think that'd be a great fight.
Yeah, he's mentioned, I read online that he's really looking forward and mentioned that he really would be very interested in fighting. You think you match up stylistically well with him then?
Oh, obviously I do. I think that, I think that he's not afraid to grapple with me, which I think would be one of his downfalls.
Now, one other quick question. You watched the CFA fights last night, and one of the big issues at CFA was this whole transgender thing with MMA and fighting. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I think that it's already something that's been established. I mean, I realize that it's a hot topic and it's interesting to bring up, but I think it's already something that other sports that are legitimate, and that's one thing MMA is trying to always be, is to solidify our legitimate status. And all I do is whenever the question gets posed, I'm like, well, guys, it's already been answered. If she was in, basketball, could she compete on the female team or the male team? So pro sports have established it. And on an amateur level, if you're in the Olympics and we were competing internationally, if she was on track and field, would she be for the girls or for the boys? And so I think that in itself is, is already established a clear rules of understanding on what we consider gender. And obviously, I'm not going to ever take away her right to compete, but just as far as in which class she competes in, I feel that it's safer just to go ahead and go the route of what already has been established in the other major sports.
And one final question. Rumor has it, maybe you told me last night off camera, that you may be moving to South Florida?
Well, not a full move, because my wife and obviously our kids are in private school and they do the Challenger system, which is, there's one of the things my kids want to move here, and we had to look right on the internet like, there's not a Challenger school here, kids. But as far as getting a second residency, my wife's been talking about having a vacation home for the last 3 or 4 years now. We got to get a home somewhere. Northern California's always been up on the high topic because of her Sacramento roots. I like Washington a lot just because I'm very much into wanting to get the opposite. Well, I was born and raised in a desert, so Washington is about the opposite you can possibly
We need you here, Frank Mir. We need you here.
But then I came out here, and again, my father's from Cuba, so I have a lot of that heritage that, I've always got to hear from him, and his side of the family, everybody's, I have aunts and uncles that I don't communicate with because they don't speak English very well. So that being said, when I came out here, it was very interesting to come here, and there's so much of Cuban culture here that's it's almost like I get to, the stories my father told me and some of the dialect, even some of the phrases that I remember as a kid, I'm like, oh, I know what that means, That's not a good thing right now. You're not happy with me, are you?
Yeah, those Cuban people do seem to have all those little sayings that are, they're very emotional, so to speak. We would so welcome you here in South Florida. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.